Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome back to the opening race for the Wall Stadium iRacing League. Once again, this time for the modified division, live from the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Happy to have you back after our first race, and we are back for the second race of the evening, 100 laps with the NASCAR Whelen Tour Modifieds. My name is Kenneth Bueno, joined alongside by Joseph Costello. And Joseph, now we've gotten through the first race. We saw kind of a preview of what the racing will be like in terms of this track, this sort of specs and this type of conditions that we have here tonight. But it's going to be a lot different. We got bigger cars, more power, and a longer race and more stakes at the reins.
Yeah, with the longer race and the bigger horsepower, the guys should take it easy. Hopefully we won't see what we had in the Legends race. As you can see in the lineup, we have a lot more drivers here. 14 cars started the Legends, the INX Legends at Southern National. Today we have about 26 modified qualifying for today's race. No heat racing, just qualifying and then the 100 lap A main. With everything shaked out, if you guys are just tuning in from the Snowflake 100, man, what a race that was! But this should be an interesting race here, as qualifying is almost over, about another 2.5 minutes left.
Just about 2 minutes and 20 seconds before we get to the green flag and we'll get our grid set up. Go racing for 100 laps here from the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. And speaking of that venue, we're going to go and take a look one more time at our KBRN Track Map with images provided by Google Earth, just to give you another refresh as to where we are and what kind of venue we're looking at here for tonight. All the way down Lucama, North Carolina, 4/10 of a mile. Track opened in 1993, held multiple weekly races, and of course, on the virtual side on iRacing, has been around for a couple years. One of the biggest reasons why we're here instead of practically any other venue. Of course, its similarity to Wall Stadium itself. And Joseph, already coming back, obviously we had a little bit of a break between that first race and the second race, and obviously this one's going to be way different. We have a lot more drivers in this field. We had about 26 enter into this event. I believe we so far have 24 qualified out of the 26, so we just have 2 left to get their laps on the track, put a time up. But especially going into this race, this one's going to be a whole different ball game. It's going to be the modified. It's a way bigger car. There's a lot more power, and of course the car is way different to handle than the small Legends cars. The only thing that's really similar is the fact that there's the open setup that we're going to have going into tonight's race. Going to be any expectations, Joseph, that we might somewhat expect to see when we go over into this race compared to what we saw in the Legends race?
Well, the thing is, the modifieds have a bigger, wheelbase. So the tires are a lot bigger, so they could grip up to the track a little bit more, but they also could not grip up to the track. Like I said earlier in the Legends race, the modifieds do tend to overheat the tires, especially that right rear tire, which we could see a lot of guys lose control. However, some guys could just put a setup in where they could save the right rear tire and don't have to drive super aggressive so they could burn it up. It is a 100-lap race, so hopefully we do have some guys who are patient. So we'll see what happens tonight. Yeah.
Definitely going to be one of the more interesting races that we see here tonight. And of course, if you just tuned in to this race, of course, this is the second of the 2 races tonight for the Wall Stadium iRacing League. Our first race started at about 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, and it was the Legends cars right here at this very track. Same conditions, same factor that it was under the lights. However, it was a way shorter race, and of course, it was with smaller cars. And we also had a smaller field at about 16 compared to the 26 that we're seeing here tonight. And of course, 40 laps on that side, 100 laps to go through here on this side of the racing. And as the field is starting to line up right behind the iRacing official pace truck, it's our time to look at your starting grids, exactly where each and every driver or your favorite driver will be starting here tonight from Southern National. On the pole with a 12.730, Tom Martino Jr. captures the pole in the number 9 machine. He'll start on the front row right alongside the 48 of Brandon Filio.
Row number 2 will be Alex K. Gretz, who had an interesting Legends car race last race, and today's outside will be Ryan Kaluth.
And in row number 3, Kurt A. Vigilant will be in the 07 tonight, starting from the 5th position. Right alongside him, Brandon Grosso in the number 32.
Row number 4 will be Steven Puglisi on his inside, and the outside of Steven will be the number 69 of Justin Grosso.
On the inside of row number 5, you'll find Paul Mancini, who made his start, obviously, in the Legend race. He's back tonight, starting 9th. Paul Lee Hartwig Jr. is also back once again. He will start 10th in this feature race.
Row number 6, you will find Patrick J. Gallagher starting P11 on the inside, and 2 Patrick's outside will be the number 99 of Eric Skryler.
And look at the rest of the field. Kyle Ammon, Nicholas Rasmussen, Austin McCurdy, Barry Malcolm, Ryan Keys, Eric Bodenschatz, Jim Rasmussen, Joseph Bodenschatz, James Gerald, Travis Schwartz, Travis Sutphin, Michael Patetta, and Bruce Pernitza Jr. going to be the final row in this event. 100 laps going to take place here from Southern National. We're already looking up to the front of this field and slowly going to get this green flag very, very shortly as we're looking to the rest of this field.
Looking on the front row. Looking on the front row, looks like they're team race cars. So the number 9 of Tom Martino Jr. and the number 48 of Brandon Fiegel. I'm so sorry. They look like they are team cars. Coming to the green, Kenneth, take it away.
Here we go. The number 9 of Tom Martino Jr. will lead the field to the green flag. We are up and away from Southern National Motorsports Park. Already some contact behind for about 3rd or 4th. But so far, Martino continues to hold on. 3, almost 4 wide behind in the back.
Right now, they're all making contact in the back of the pack. Gretz falls back down to 4th. He's behind the number 35 of Ryan Kaluth. Kaluth started 4th. Now he goes up to 3rd. Gretz going to try to fall in behind. Right now, they head down the front straight. They're all trying to... Oh, trouble! Big wreck in turn 2. Cars flipping up on the roof, on their sides, everywhere. Big wreck stacked up in turn 2 as the first caution flag. They made it a lap and 2 corners before they got the first yellow flag.
And our first yellow flag starting on lap number 3 out of the 100. And it was a large pileup about a parking lot back there where that wreck started. And oh my goodness, just look at the intensity of this wreck going into turn number 1. I believe it might have started a little bit earlier. Actually started there with the 76 of Paul Mancini. And then everyone piling in after, really nowhere to go.
Yeah, really they're all just checking up, and it just became a parking lot. The 76 of Paul Mancini got onto the tire barriers. The pace truck got around them safely, even though it doesn't really matter if the pace truck got them safely because it's just a ghost car pretty much. That's that. We are on our first caution here at Southern National.
Here's a look from Barry Malcolm's view in the inside of the cockpit. Here's his look as the whole field was right in front of him. They started collecting into trouble, and as the 85 was trying to dodge, really
just
nowhere to go.
Nothing he could do.
Nowhere to go whatsoever.
Now, you may think that the modifieds look clean, but I'm telling you, they may look clean, but they're not gonna feel the same. They're not gonna feel the same as more you drive it. They do have damage. There's just not really visual. Again, you do see the big Nerf bars on these things. They're there so you don't. The Nerf bars are there so you don't wheel hop the guy next to you, because these cars are open wheels.
And of course, there's something way different from the Legends cars, Joseph, that we saw a little bit early in this race, because obviously you have the wheels more exposed to the race cars, opposed to those fenders that will go over the Legends cars. That it practically would make it impossible for you to go over somebody, or at least make contact that'll damage the suspension, unless you smack the wall really hard, unless you make contact with another driver. In that sort of case, that's where maybe suspension damage could take place. Here in this car, though, it's a lot easier to kind of bump that up, kind of get it scrunched up, and could possibly end your night. Will definitely not be the same as you're walking through the rest of this race. Up front, though, it is relatively the same. It was about a 4-car breakaway before we had that yellow. It was Tom Martino Jr., Brandon Filiola, Ryan Kuthal, who finished in the top 5 in that Legends Car Series race. He's going to be starting on the inside of row number 2 with Alex K. Gretz, but we're back under green on lap number 7.
Oh, contact! Gretz up the racetrack. Made some contact with the 35. He's going to fall back. He gets dumped in the back straightaway. Big wreck in the back straightaway. Gretz around. They all stacked up. No caution. Now the caution has come out.
Oh, and they're still piling in.
Everybody's still wrecking here at Southern National. There's a car flipped upside down in turns 3 and 4. He's going to get towed back to the pit lane. And a massive, massive, massive crash down the back straightaway. Alex Gretz just not having the night he wanted. He had a horrible Legends race after starting P2. He's going to make some contact with Justin Grosso a little bit. But yeah, he had a horrible night in the Legends car. Starting second, he was going for the lead, got clipped the apron and lost the car, and Kyle Sisko finished him off towards the end of the race. And now he started third in the modifieds, and now is back to looks like about the back half of the top 5. So he only lost like a position there, but he had a massive wreck. Let's take a look at what happened to that wreck.
There's Eric Stryker, who went up and over. It seems as though he got caught between a rock and a hard place. There was the 61 who got up into him. It started up ahead where Alex K. Gretz was. There was a big pile up there. You see the 99 just trying to get around. The 61 goes over, and then contact from the 16 sends him up and over
netcode
on his roof.
So there was netcode between the 43 and the 32. The 43 did get loose, but they never made contact. And after the 43 had netcode issues with the 32, it just hooked the 17, and the 17 just went around the back straightaway, and everyone just piled in from there.
So another huge wreck to set another yellow flag on the lap number, I believe 7 it was. We've already gotten a couple laps under the caution flag as Martino continues to lead. It's relatively unchanged. Gretz, though, and we've already talked about Gretz a couple of times here, Joseph, just how that Legends car race was a little bit earlier tonight, and just how frustrating it was for that number 09, or at least in this case from the custom number at a 17. He was practically on the route to winning that race in the Legends Car Series race. He was second. He was practically within striking distance of the leader, and then all of a sudden the cautions come out. He gets either tagged by somebody, gets hit by somebody, and then he gets sent to the rear of the field in an incident. He gets spun around, has to work his way all the way back up, which I'm sure was very frustrating. And then by the end, that incident earlier before did not set him in a good position to either win the race whatsoever. So he's definitely looking for some sort of revenge. As we're back under green, Tom Martino Jr. continues to lead the way, and they're all barreling into turn 1. Another crash behind.
Saves it, no caution. Will there be a caution after that? Admin cautions are on. We are still green. Pile up in the back straightaway. Now the caution has been thrown. The 61. I don't even know what you even want to call that. He was just standing on his front Nerf bar. And what a massive wreck. I don't understand why people cannot be patient. It's just kind of frustrating because there are guys out here who are actually just trying to race, but they're all just not being patient early on this race. We're going to take a look at what happened there.
Started with the 24 up ahead and up the road. This is looking from the number 3 of Bruce Pernitza, who was involved in a major amount of this. A lot of drivers just trying to slow down and really not able to slow down those race cars. As it seems as though the 24 had gotten turned around right in front of the field. That was Nicholas Rasmussen, who got a piece of that early on. You see him diving into turn 1. He gets tagged by, I believe that's the 55 of Joseph Bodenschatz. Indeed it is. And Rasmussen goes around, and then everyone piles in behind. There's a car right back there that had a huge ride. I believe that was Travis Sutphin in the number 52. No, actually, that was the 61 up ahead. Just a little bit. That was... And a huge crash once again as the field is racked up behind this pace truck. And still 100 laps. It's not in the case that we had 40 laps, Joseph, in the legend car race, where obviously the yellows kind of made time fly by just a little bit faster, in the terms that there's not as many opportunities for drivers to get up to the front if they get involved in some sort of mistake or in some sort of wreck per se. Now, though, it's a longer race, so you definitely have more shots to get up to the front of the field to gain some positions and obviously work your way through the field. That's yet what we've been able to see, and it's kind of been just rolling around the pace truck for the most part. It seems to be the theme for tonight.
Yeah, so far, if you guys are wondering who led the most laps so far, I'm going to go with the pace truck. He's leading this race as they're out with the green flag. Second, but they actually lead Tom Martino Jr. Struck the pole and has led every lap so far. His teammate, though, not far behind. Alex Gretz back up to P4. Then we have Parley Hartwig Jr. back to P4, come up as P5. The 43 is behind Parley Hartwig. The Parley Hartwig machine has no numbers, so that's going to be a very interesting call. It's a pace, the iRacing.com pace car. Well, it's about to pull in. We're going to go green once again. Hopefully, they can get a couple laps in. As they go green, Tom Martino Jr. Great start over his teammate, the 48. Into turn number 1, Martino leads.
Martino continues to lead the way, just like he's been doing it all race long. There's only been yellows to supplement. I believe there's another wreck behind the rest of this field, and there's still green, actually. So some guys already saving the race car. You just saw Barry Malcolm had to hold on to this race car. Finally, some green flag laps underway as Martino continues to lead. Brandon Filiola is right behind him, and Alex K. Gretz, who fought his way from that earlier wreck, he's now up to third.
Gretz, he looks like he's trying to get his car come to life. He's up to P3. Can he catch one of these two teammates' race cars? I don't know what the exact team name is. Hopefully we can get a good team update on that one. But so far, Gretz in the Proximity 17 leads. P3 right now. He's trying to get to the back bumper of the 48 car. There's lap traffic up ahead. True. Little loose for the 35 of Ryan Kaluth. Lap car could have gone up to early. That's the 19. It looks like they headed to turn number 1.
Here's the 48 riding on board with him as he's tailing right behind the leader, getting around lap traffic already on your EO Media onboard camera, already getting through a quarter through this race. And I believe now we're starting to get the green flag run as the 3 right behind him might have gotten caught. That was Brute Pernitza. And now there's a wreck on the front straightaway. Caution waves once again.
So they finally got some green flag runs in, and maybe Alex got his car set up right. Again, he likes to set his cars up for the long run, but I don't know if he really made a short run car. I mean, he was right there with P1 and P2, Tom Martino Jr. and Brandon Figolona. He was there with them. And now let's see. Parley Hartwig has moved up to P4 after Ryan had that little incident. So pretty much anybody behind Ryan is really gaining position all the way back up to, I think, right around 20, about 17th, yeah. Oh, he has a blown motor, Ryan.
You could see the number 3 of Bruce Pernitza Jr. He was just riding around the racetrack and just kind of staying out of the way of everybody in the lead lap, and then got caught in the wall. I believe got grabbed by him. The 35 gets into him. That's Ryan Kuthau, and then everybody else also piling in. There's where the yellow flag is presented to the field, and it seems though it's not as big of a wreck as we saw earlier in this race, at least within the first 2 yellows that we saw. Pretty much a parking lot. Everyone was stuck all the way through, nowhere to go. Everyone kept piling in, and once again under the yellow flag from Southern National. Just a moment to remind you that if you want to join the conversation with us up in the KBRN booth, you can do so using hashtag AskKBRN, and you can ask anything you want to ask. Just put your question followed by that hashtag. You'd ask about the series, the race itself, our picks to win, any sort of situation, or maybe just in general, any other general question within appropriate reason. That's hashtag AskKBRN for anything you want to ask.
Couple updates on some drivers. Some drivers were DQ'd after having some incidents. Eric Bonschwitz has been DQ'd. Same with Kyle Ammon, Eric Scree, and Bruce Prenance Jr. was DQ'd. 3 drivers are out of the race. Were forced out of the race for being DQ'd. Maybe causing some incidents. Maybe getting too many warnings, and they just removed them. So Paulie Manchita will get a lap back as the field gets 1 to go. Right now, so far in all Tom Martino Jr. show, And Gretz, he's showing some speed out of his race car. The question is, can he make a move to win this race?
Still a long way to go, about 70 laps to determine that, whether Gretz can get up to the front of this field. I believe he's yet to really lead a lap in any of the races tonight, but nonetheless, we're back under green from Southern National. It has been all Martino, and he continues to lead the charge, as now Gretz actually has some pressure from the 73 of Hartwig.
Hartwig on the outside, he's going to try to get a run, but the thing with the modifieds is that they can actually run the high side. The Legends car is pretty much a bottom feeder racetrack. Gretz still side by side with Hartwig. He's going to give him a little contact, it looks like, down the back straightaway. Giving some room on the outside. Hartwig up the track too much. The 07 is just peeking in there saying, hey guys, I'm still here. And can he peek his nose in there? Gretz trying to clear himself at the head of the turn 3 coming to the start finish.
And he's finally made his way, but this time Hartwig is now in trouble as Vigion in the number 07 is going to try to peek his nose to the inside. Doesn't seem like he's got enough just yet to make that move. And as they were side by side, kind of be all smiles for the 9 and the 48 who were both kind of pulling away. Now as they're single filing out, it might not be too happy, as now the 17 will try to claw his way through the front. And we already saw him fight for second. We've yet to see him fight for the lead.
Car stopped in the apron.
We got a car stopped
Two
there.
cars stopped in the apron. No caution. Gretz so far is the fastest out of the top 3. Actually, second fastest now. Tom Martino Jr. put a 13.055. Gretz put a 13.080. No caution. We are still green. They're all single file still. Hartwig just falling behind. Will Kurt Vingett make a move on Hartwig if he gets there in time? Really, no. Everyone's just single file. A couple guys are down pit road.
A couple guys down pit road. About a 4 or 5 car breakaway between this group, leading all the way back to Kurt Vigion in the number 07. Brandon Grosso was filing out, leading this group all the way up. And if you're looking at Hartwig, he's slowly leaking to the back bumper of that number 17. That's 1 car all the way down to the apron. No yellow, still slow. We're still good on the racing surface. Meanwhile, it is still Tom Martino up to the front of this field, and at least somewhat, Joseph, that we have these open setups that these guys can take around the race cars. And of course, especially on the short track scene, setups are key. Setups have always been probably one of the biggest parts of short track racing. I know a couple of guys, of course you obviously, that have worked with setups yourself, have worked with kind of tinkering with the race car, and just how difficult is it to kind of manage yourself with the open setups and make yourself not only strong on the short runs, but also make yourself kind of a threat during the longer runs.
Well, the thing about short track racing and iRacing and IRL is that iRacing, you can really predict if there will be cautions or not. Usually a lot of leagues, they have a lot of caution races like we had at the beginning of the race. And a couple guys like to set their car up for short runs because they think it's going to be a short run race. But then there are guys who are like Alex Gretz, Tom Martino Jr. They have setups for the long runs. And that's why you see trouble in turn 1, got a car around, no caution. That is the number 11 of Barry McCallum. He stopped on the top of turn 1. We are still green here, but again, like Tom Martino, he has looks like a long run car. Same with his teammate Brian Kalous, stopped on the back straightaway, no caution still. Don't know if we're going to see another caution. I don't know if we're going to see a caution for that. But Gretz, I think he's starting to fade back a little bit, and now the caution has come out.
Finally,
and Hartwig saves it.
Oh, Hartwig almost had a moment there. Could have gotten collected with the 35, and really, there's no replay to give because they were just stopped on the racetrack for a handful of laps, both the 35 and the 85. That was Barry Malcolm and Ryan Kuthau. We'll take another replay. We'll actually try to see what might have started the 35 from going around, and I think we actually did find the lap, indeed, where he went around on the racetrack. Seems to have happened down to the front straightaway where that was signaled. You saw Barry Malcolm there on the outside. Here just got loose, and they just had nowhere to go, just held onto the brakes. And at this point, so many drivers are going out the racetrack in different distances that there's really nowhere to join the racetrack in the right way. There's Barry Malcolm, who's stuck on the outside, and that's where we stand in terms of the yellow on lap number 47. And it seems as though that was somewhat of a long run here, Joseph.
Yeah, that's like the first long run we've seen all night, and we saw what happened with other cars. So Gretz doesn't have the fastest race car. I don't know if he burnt that right rear tire. Partly Hartwig, I think that caution saved him. I don't think if that caution. Oh, trouble! Whoa, the 48 around.
That was Brandon Filiola who went around. I'm not sure whether he had contact or whether. Oh my goodness, the 52 of Travis Sutphin just sailed it. I'm not sure whether this might have had to do with something early in the race or whether he was just. Oh no, he just was trying to get around. I believe it was a lap car. He was 7 laps down at the time of the yellow, and He was just trying to get around and just got in contact with the 55. That's Joseph Bowden's shots, and then, oh, just accidentally hit one of the race leaders.
And
Boy, that is bizarre.
That's going to put some damage on the 48, so he could be a little bit off the pace. I think he's going to get his position back. I don't really know. He is right behind the 07. I think he's going to go to the back. But, yeah, I don't know. 48, I think he's getting his position back, but he also could be going to the back. But if that's the case, Gretz is going to move up to P2 as they get the one to go. So, yeah, it looks like he's not going to get his position back. Alex K. Gretz now moves up to the second position. Now, can he give anything to Tom Martino Jr.?
Well,
Charlie Hartwig is now P3.
We'll just have to find out, as Fabiola will be in 6. I don't think he lost any spot. There's already one driver around, and they're already crashing before we've even reached the green flag. But I think we're going to reach it. We're going to reach it once again, and actually now, never mind. We're going to have our yellow flag. False green flag, as we had a yellow. I'm not even sure where that started. I saw a black and red car. I believe that was Grosso in the number 69 who had issues. I believe he was the culprit of this one this time around. There's the reason behind that yellow flag. We'll take a look.
I don't even know what happened there. So they're going to call the caution. They're going to try to get the field reline up again. Gretz is nobody's going to really lose their position because they never took the green. As soon as pace car dropped, they all went going. But the green flag, the flagman never waved the green. The green lights never came on. So it's basically a false start. It's like Talladega 2015.
Man, look at this. Just holding onto the brakes while they were forming up 2 by 2. It's just trying to get his way to his spot, holding onto the brakes, and then just, I believe, lost control of the race car. And then
pace car is back in. Oh, Gretz! Oh my God! Martino gets a little bit of a horrible start. Gretz gets a better start, but he has to fall back. Gretz coming to the outside. Never mind. Hartwig to the inside of the racetrack. Hartwig up to P2. Here comes the 40. Here comes the 40 of Austin McCarty. McCarty behind Gretz. Now Gretz looking underneath Paulie Hartwig Jr. for second. They are side by side out of 2. This gives some room to Martino. Now Hartwig cuts off Gretz, and McCarty is going to follow behind Gretz.
We got a car around the 51. Don't think there's any yellow set on the racetrack at the moment. Martino continues to lead. Hartwig found his way to second. Gretz did try the crossover, but it was just not sufficient enough to take over that second spot. Meanwhile, we might have a battle for the race lead. It is slowly brewing up as Hartwig's been relatively fast in the past couple laps. He might try to make a charge into turn 1.
Right now, Martino leads the pack. Paulie Hartwig looks like he has a faster race car. Gretz, I don't think he has anything in that race car. I think he burnt that right rear tire off. Maybe the right front tire off too. I don't know. His car looks like he's a little loose off corner exit. Could be tight through the center of the corner. McCarty though, he's trying to catch up and get some speed. The 76 of Paul Mancini it's getting the bumper from Kurt Vigant.
McCurdy has found his way to the top 4, but that might not last long as he's around. Hold on to the brakes.
Big wreck on the
52 involved. 52 involved as well with a 40.
No caution.
No yellow on the racetrack. I don't believe the admins have.
Caution.
Now there's a yellow as the admins finally decided to throw it out. That was 4th place. Austin McCurdy in the number 40 machine who went around, and as soon as we were just talking about him, that was really the perfect example of a commentator jinx. Right there in front of the rest of these guys. We'll just take one more look as he went around about himself. It was a solo car incident, but at this point, the 52 was getting back on the track.
Oh, yeah.
40 just got loose, held on to the brakes, and then the 52 just slams into him.
I think he was just trying to get out of the 52's way so he doesn't make contact with him. His right side tires did get into the marbles, it looks like a little bit, so that could probably affect the car a little bit of handling. Remember, these things have really big tires, and if you get into the marbles a little bit, it could step out underneath you like no problem. So the top 3 have completely changed. It was kind of similar, but then we had a little incident. The 9 car is going to come down pit road. Tom Martino Jr. going to come down pit road, so that leaves Paulie Hartwig Jr. to the lead. And now your top 3 is completely changed. Alex K. Gretz, not the fastest car on track. He was going for the lead, and he was going for second, but I think he just has the 3rd best car right now. I think he did burn up his tires a little bit, as Paul Mancini had a decent legend car race, but doing a lot better than the modifieds. Probably Hartwig, he's going to stay out. Same with Gretz. Now, if I was Alex Gretz, I would have pit with Tom Martino. I would try to make my way through the field, getting some fresh new set of Hoosier tires, and probably be a lot faster. Almost lost a lap, though. That's the sad part about these things. Actually, I think he did lose. I think he did lose a lap, so that's the sad part. You do want to take 2 tires here at Southern National. On some tracks you can't take 4, but that just sucks because you can lose a lap. And pit stops in the modifieds, they're not like nothing like NASCAR pit stops. Normally NASCAR pit stops take do about 12 seconds trouble on the front straightaway off turn number 4 at 52. But yeah, NASCAR is between 12 to 15 seconds. They'll make it out quick, out of like no problem. Modifieds, they're about another 5 to 10 seconds. Why? Because they're not trained. They don't really do pit stops, as they will delay the caution.
So lap 64 getting run around. I was surprised to see Martino Jr. head down pit road, and I don't even think this might even work unless we have more yellows, unless he gets some sort of a wave around, because now he's not even in the lucky dog position anymore. Ryan Kuthal has found his way back to the lead lap, as he was in a couple incidents tonight. Filiola also in that group, so both the 2 leaders at the start of this race are now in some sort of trouble. I think Martino has found a wave, so he's going to be on the lead lap.
Yeah, Martino's going to get his lap back.
Only issue will be is that there's a lot of cars to really catch up. Now on the lead lap, there's about 12 cars. There's still a good way to go before you even get close enough to get to Hartwig, get to Gretz, or maybe anybody in the top 3. So we'll just have to see how much work that 9 will have to put in order to get back to the front where he started this race. So it'll be Gretz and Hartwig in row number 1. Of course, they both did stay out, but Hartwig did capture 2nd place before Gretz was able to get there back to the bumper, as he was putting that pressure on. So he's going to be leading the charge back to this green flag from the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. Pace truck is off, and a good start by Hartwig. Maybe an even one actually with Gretz to the outside, and we're one screen once again.
The bumper got pushed to the Hartwig machine after the 76 pushed him on the restart. Hartwig barely giving him room on the outside of the racetrack. So far, it's between probably Hartwig and Alex Gretz. Alex Gretz just fading. Mancini on the bottom of the racetrack. Gretz just cut him off. Gretz giving him the bumper now. Alex K. Gretz going to the bottom of the racetrack underneath Hartwig. They are side by side for the race. Gretz with the preferred lane. Mancini just watching this. Here comes the 07 car. Battle for 2nd and battle for the lead. Hartwig, though, a little bit better run off on the top side. Now it's single file for 3rd on back. And now they are still side by side for the lead. Gretz, though, can even put him up the racetrack? No, Hartwig, though, with a bigger run up the corner.
Still side by side and even, but now Gretz finds his way through. Maybe a crossover by Hartwig, not enough in the corner. Still side by side though for 3rd, as Mancini and Vigion continue to work the 07 and the 76, working side by side. But now Gretz has finally found his way to the cream of the crop, and now they're all in the outside wall. Here comes Hartwig for the race lead, and they're crashing behind.
Turns around, right in front of the field, overcorrected to the outside wall. 3 cars are in a wreck. Caution flag will wave. And that was not what Alex K. Gretz wanted to see. Oh, car flipping. That's the 48. The 48 on his roof. He started 2nd. He had the 2nd fastest car on the racetrack. And it looked like his night is done. Tom Martino Jr., though, his night's not done. He's up to the P4. And Alex Gretz didn't want to see that caution for that exact reason, because Tom Martino could put on a show. Parley Hartwig, though, I don't know. It's going to be close, but I think Tom Martino Jr. could probably pull this one off with the fresh set of tires he has on his race car.
We look on board with the 76 of Mancini, who was looking to the inside, got into the 07, and that's the reason why the 07 even found his way, then back up into him, I guess as a form of karma. And then right in front of the field, everyone trying to find their way through the 39, not so lucky, trying to carve his way. The 52, more contact after what has been an abysmal night for that number 52. But meanwhile, Gretz up to the front of this field, and maybe not so much of a curse in terms of that for the number 09, or at least for now the 17 of Gretz, because now he's going to be able to control the restart. That's the first time he's able to do this all night long when you count the Legends race, and now you're counting this race, as we're now about 25 laps away from the end of this event. So we are already closing in the halfway moment. We're already getting into the home stretch of this race. Gretz now, if he's in control, this could be the moment that Gretz needs in order to get up to at least the front, continue to be up in the front, defend his position to the bottom, and possibly take away and steal a win in the opening race here in the Modified Tour.
Don't be surprised if Parley Hartwig or anybody else behind Alex gives him the bumper. These things, they could take a bumper, because, as again, like I said, these things have nerf bars, which is very, very good, because these things can take a shot. So right now, I think Alex, if I was Alex, he'd be in a bad position, to be honest with you. I think the guy who's in the best position is Tom Martino Jr. Again, fresh set of tires.
That's right.
And the fastest race car, qualified on pole. And I really think he could come back up and probably steal the win away from Alex K. Gretz. They're going to go, oh, Alex is going to take the outside, actually. Okay, so we're going to see what happens here on the restart. As the pace truck is going to pull in. Gretz goes up high, ducks down low like a normal short track qualifying move. Green flag. Gretz is already gone.
Gretz is finding his way through the edge of this field. Martino's going to try to squander with the fresh tires, but so far, Gretz continues to be in the lead. There might be something happening behind. You're 3 wide, a little bit further back, but I think they're okay for the time being. Gretz still, though, in the race lead. 1 car around on the front straightaway.
Well, so far, Alex K. Gretz leads the pack. Parley Hartwig, can he catch up? Tom Martino Jr., I don't know. His car looks like it's kind of fading away from him now. I thought he had a good enough race car, but it looks like he does not. As some guys are hitting the wall, Gretz is just gone, and I don't think Hartwig has anything for him. As long as this race stays green for the next 20 laps, Alex Gretz could possibly take home the first win of the modifieds.
Gretz still holding on to the race lead. Gap is about more than a half a second, maybe half a second and change to Hartwig, as now Hartwig is going to have a lot of work to do. This is the first time, Joseph, that we saw a driver like this gets so much of a gap through the restart as compared to the rest of this field. But don't look now. There's 18 laps to go. Still a lot of time for Martino on the fresh tires to get by. He's up to 3rd.
Tom Martino Jr. up to P3. Car coming out of the pits. That's the 07 car. He was up to the top 5 area. Oh, car hitting the wall. But again, he was in the top 5. Fell back after a wreck earlier in the race. Caution flag on the racetrack. I think there's a wreck in the back straightaway. No, I think the admin just threw a random caution for some reason.
Not sure whether we find anyone in some sort of incident. Got a lot of drivers on pit road though, but we don't see anything. Maybe Grosso, I'm not sure whether he had an incident or whether it was just another situation. We'll try and take a look whether it might have been that 32. I don't believe it was.
I don't know. Maybe it could have been for the 32. I don't know. But again, Alex Gretz, maybe this gives him a chance. Just let him cool his tires down. The tires can cool down, get some brake. Let the not have the rubber overheat, have the right rear overheat on him a lot more. The brake rotors are still glowing on the 17 or 09 modified. So again, Tom Martino Jr. now will be on the back bumper. Alex Gretz takes the outside, which if he takes the outside, he could possibly do what he did on the last restart, go all the way high to ride the wall and duck down low as soon as the pace truck pulls in. Leader can go between the pace car and the green lights.
I think if there's anyone that was really worrying and biting their nails at this moment, now that there's a yellow and now that we're going to get to another restart at what could be the final restart of this event. I don't believe it will be, but it very well could possibly fall into that category. If I'm anyone that's nervous, I'm going to be Hartwig, because Hartwig is now going to start on probably the inside. However, if Gretz chooses that outside. However, Gretz is most likely going to get a good jump on the rest of this field, so Hartwig won't have a chance to get up to him. Probably won't get an even restart. And then, right behind him, he's going to have to defend against a driver on new tires in Tom Martino Jr. So Jr.'s going to be on that inside. He's going to be charging. And at this point in this race, there's no mercy whatsoever. The bumper will be sent at some point.
Oh, yeah. And a little context. So Parley Hartwig Jr. has to guess where Alex Gretz is going. The exact timing, everything has to be perfect. What a good restart. Not a bad restart from Hartwig. Could have fallen behind. Martino, though, didn't have a good restart. He's behind the 69 car, so he's going to fall back a little bit. Gretz, though, pulling away. Yellow flag on the racetrack. There is a wreck on the back straightaway off turn 2. It is a 76 Paul Mancini with the blown motor. What happened there?
We'll take a look, and it was off turn 2. Might have had contact with the 07. We'll just look at the replay. Here is a look at the restart as they were kind of checking up. The 52 almost had contact with the outside wall. Here was the 07 looking down. There was the initial contact. The 76 just goes around. I think the engine just decided to give up. No, there was contact with the 48. That's the reason the engine decided to be damaged and decided to expire at that very moment. That's the cause of our yellow with just 9 laps to go. But interesting thing, I was going to say that Hartwig probably should have been nervous, but he actually got a better start. Justin Grosso had a better start than Tom Martino, so he was able to go up to 3rd, and that probably wasn't helping the 9 situation at all if he wants to get up to the race lead at some point.
So there's good news and bad news for Tom Martino Jr. and Alex Gretz. Good news, Martino has another shot. Bad news, he's going to restart behind Alex Gretz, which Alex likes to take the top. I'm going to guess he's going to take the top. And Alex likes to go anywhere between that pace car drops off to the green light. He never likes to go on the green lights. He likes to just go on as soon as pace car drops in. But you never know. Again, he can go anywhere between the pace truck dropping in and the green lights. That's what's going to play in the factor of Tom Martino Jr. Again, he has another chance to get the goal for the second and try to go for the win. But I don't know. That's going to be close. Paulie Hartwig, he had a good restart. He needs to redo that. Maybe a little bit better of a restart in that number 73 Ace Hole trimmer graphics or Himmer graphics machine.
So we'll just have to find out. Not yet at the 1 to green signal from the pace truck, so I don't believe we're going to be going green in just a little bit. I think this time by could be the signal that we get to go back to the green flag, and indeed it is. So one more loop around Southern National, 4/10 of a mile, and we'll be back under green for what could be another restart. Maybe the chaos will start to ramp up. It's been ramped up all night long, Joseph, but I think at this point, if it's the leaders, it's going to be even worse. As now Gretz will try another flawless restart to get a good gap. He'll start from the outside. Pace truck is off. We're back under green. And another phenomenal start from the 17 as Hartwig now will defend.
Looks like Gretz will get clear of Hartwig. Hartwig had a little bit better restart, but just cannot get even. The bottom side's kind of a disadvantage if the driver takes the high side. Gretz, though, taking away the lead. 5 to go at the line for Alex K. Gretz. They headed to turn 1. A little bit of contact I hear from the back. Tom Martino Jr. is going to fall back behind Austin McCurdy. And right now, Justin Grosso falls back to P3. Oh, McCurdy tags the apron a little bit loose. Martino to the inside of the racetrack there. Side by side for looks like P4.
For P4 to side by side, but for P1, it is still up for grabs. Gretz still in this lead with now just 3 laps to go at the start-finish line. Can Hartwig do anything to get around this 17, or will Gretz be able to defend? Maybe even if Grosso can get by, he's still within striking distance. Now 2 laps to go this time around.
2 laps to go. Gretz just looks like he's a faster race car. Hartwig needs to put everything he's got in that machine. He doesn't have much time. Coming to the white flag this time. Gretz off turn 4. He will see the white flag. Hartwig, though, not going to get there. He was way too loose out of turn number 4. Gretz out of turn number 2. Heading down the back straightaway for the final time of that number 17 Proximity Racing machine out of turn number 4. And Alex K. Gretz, horrible legend race. He's going to win here at Southern National in the NASCAR Modified Series.
After an up and down, bouncy race in the Legends Series and the Legends cars earlier tonight, Alex K. Gretz goes to victory lane in the opening race here from Southern National. On the modified side of things, he holds on from Hartwig after Hartwig just could not get up the gap enough in time, as Gretz now going to go to the front straightaway and burn it down and celebrate in front of the virtual fans. Well-deserved victory after what happened in the Legends race.
And Alex just getting his motor revved up again. I don't know why he's revved up. There he goes. He's going to start doing his burnouts. Probably a good emotional win for him. He's finally, after that horrible Legends race, he's going to get that he's going to redeem in the modified race and going to take home the win. He said he's going to go for the points in the modified division. Not going to really focus on the Legend cars, just the modifieds. And if he's going to start the season off like this, I cannot wait to see what the rest of the season has for that young man.
Well, if he says he's going to be focused on the modified series, this is a very good start. A win in the opening race. And what a performance as he's burning it down with the number 48 right behind, who unfortunately did not have a good finish. Actually, did finish in the top 10, so actually not too bad for the number 48, who started from second. We'll take a look at your results. Obviously, Alex K. Gretz with a win here in the opening race in the Wall Stadium iRacing League on the modified division. Paul Hartwig finishes second after a valiant effort to charge up to the front. Just was not enough to capture the checkered flag. Justin Grosso would have come back for him after being in trouble just a little bit early in this race. He captures the podium. We'll get an interview later on. Austin McCurdy will finish in 4th. Tom Martino Jr., pole sitter, will only rally up to 5th. Ryan Kuthau, after finishing in top 5 in the Legends car race, will scrum for a top 10 in P6. Paul Mancini finishes 7th. Brandon Grosso finishes 8th. 9th belongs to Nicholas Rasmussen. And rounding out the top 10, Brandon Filiola.
And right now we have driving the number 17, Alex K. Gretz in the KBRN booth. Alex, do you have a copy with us? All right.
Alex, this is Kenneth in the KBRN booth. You got a copy?
Oh, there he is. All right, Alex, congrats. You got a copy with us?
Yes, I do.
All right. After a horrible Legends race, you come back, redeem yourself after a 100-lap modified race. Man, how does that feel?
It feels really good. I went into practice. I had 0 laps on a setup. I literally put on the baseline setup and made changes throughout practice. And I was a little bit skeptical after practice. I'd made a few changes before qualifying, and it seemed to be all right. Qualified P3, and then it just really came in on the long run. It really just came alive after like 50, 60 laps there, and it really was like all over from there. Once I got in the lead, I knew I could control the restarts and get a jump out front. That really would help me.
It looks like you didn't have the fastest car against Tom Martino Jr. and his teammate in the 48. Well, describe that little long run that you guys had there in the middle of the race.
On the long run, it started tightening up a little bit once the tires warmed up, and I was just having a little bit of trouble keeping up with them. And then once Tom pitted, I knew it was kind of a saving grace to me being able to have one less car to worry about. And I'm not sure what happened to his teammate there, but whenever I think he pitted as well, kind of put me out in front, and I think that left me at the fastest car that wasn't on new tires. So
well,
I was able to.
Teammate that happened to his teammate. One of the lap cars got hit into him, just trying to get a lap back or something. So I don't know what actually happened there. It looks like you brought up the right front tire, but you had a fast race car. Describe that race between you and Paulie Hartwig.
When he was close to me, it was kind of stressful because he was driving it in pretty deep, and I was trying to back up the corner to get a good run off. And as long as he didn't get into me entering the corner, I was able to drive off the corner and pull away from him. But once I got those gaps there, it seemed like we were about even. Maybe I was a little bit slower, but I had a big enough gap where I could stay out in front of him for the end of the race.
All right. Before we let you go, do you have anybody that you want to thank?
Just Proximity Racing and all the sponsors that come along with the team, along with Splash and Go Graphics for making an awesome paint scheme that I was running here tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex, and congrats on the win today. All right, that was Alex. Hey, congrats. Your P1, you're the guy who finished the race in first. I don't really see Paulie Hartwig Jr. in the voice chat. I do see Justin Grasso. So Kenneth, you can take it away.
We'll bring in Justin Grasso. First of all, Justin, a actually really good race for you. You started 8th in between this top 10. Obviously survived a lot of the chaos here tonight, but you come back and you finish in P number 3. Just walk us through your night overall around the 100-lap event and just how chaotic it was for you. Justin, you got a copy? Oh boy, I don't believe we have Justin in the booth, at least active for the moment. So I'm not sure whether he's Justin. Once again, you got a copy with us?
All right, I guess that Paulie Hartwig is now in the voice chat, so we'll get Paulie Hartwig. Paulie Hartwig, kind of take it away from Paulie.
All right, Paulie. Well, definitely a very, very phenomenal race for you. You started 10th, a little bit further back in this field, but ever since you got up to the field, boy, you did not let go. Just walk us through what your night was overall, and especially those final laps, and just how stressful it was for you trying to battle with Alex K. Gratz for the race win.
Yeah.
Oh, do we have him as well?
I believe so. He does have perms to speak in here. He is just muted.
Well, I don't believe anything, so I guess we may not have any interviews to walk through here tonight. Actually, Grosso, you're back as well. Justin, you got a copy? Oh boy, I don't believe.
I don't know what's going on.
We may have something. Justin.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Justin. Well, it took us a little bit to get you, but nonetheless, you finished in P3, podium finish here for you tonight. We'll talk to Paulie in just a little bit, but just give us your thoughts on this race. I know the modified division is a very, very different division than what we saw a little bit earlier in the Legends car race. And just talk to us about how this car really felt, how this race really went for you, and especially your thoughts as you were going behind the race, or behind the wheel, the race car for 100 laps.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Patrick Gallagher first for the setup. And I couldn't make the Legends race. I was busy. But I got in the Tour Mod race a little late. And we only did a little bit of practice. I made some adjustments to the setup. And we were pretty good in practice. Did a little more in qualifying. Put her P8. And then there was so many cautions in the race. I was trying to help James with admin and everything, and I thought we did pretty good.
Well, definitely you did do very good on this podium finish here. Justin, I know this is the opening race, so this is basically starting off everything for this Wall Stadium iRacing League in terms of this modified division. In terms of your finish, or in terms of what you have performed, and of course all the other drivers that you've raced around, what are your expectations? What's going to be your game plan, at least for the rest of the season as you start to move forward, now that you have somewhat of a preview, you have somewhat of something to reference off of now that you've done this race here at Southern National tonight?
Yeah, in these races, there's just so many cars. The best thing to do is qualify up front so you can stay out of the wrecks. And tires are big in these long distance races.
All right, Justin. Well, before we let you go on this P3 finish, is there anyone you'd just like to give your thanks to? Any team sponsors, or just like anyone else you'd just like to give your love and shout outs to before we let you go here?
Yeah, just like I said, Patrick Gallagher for the good setup. My brother, me and him were adjusting a little bit and acing the whole landscaping.
All right, Justin. Well, we give our congratulations to you on your P3 finish here tonight from Southern National, and of course we appreciate the time, and we look forward to seeing what you can do for the rest of the season. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
That was Justin Grosso, your P3 finisher. Hopefully we can get over to Paulie Hartwig, who might be standing with Joseph Costello on the track. I don't believe he's here yet, but Joseph, I'll let you give your shot at it nonetheless.
Probably hard. We got a copy with us, bud. All right. I don't think we have a copy with Paulie. Not really much of a shout out to anybody. Just a shout out to my own graphic design company. Shout out to you, Kenneth, for putting on a great interview. Paulie. I think Paulie's having some issues. See if we can get him in one more time.
Let's try to bring him in. I believe it's something with the settings that's not allowing him to speak. I think that's why it is the way it is, at least in terms of this. I'm not sure whether anyone can change that, but don't believe we'll get Paulie in here. I think that'll pretty much cap it off for the interviews. Not really much we can do about that. We'll try to fix that next time around for you. But Joseph, well, we've capped over our 2 races already. We got the Legends race. You saw how chaotic that was. Obviously, chaos brought into this one as well at the 9 p.m. modified event. What are your thoughts, at least, of what's going to be the takeaway from here on out starting, and what's going to be kind of the rhythm for the rest of the season as we move forward?
I think throughout the season we could see things start calming down. I mean, again, it is a brand new league with drivers that probably never really raced the short tracks. Don't have really experience with the modifieds or the Legends cars or 10s and any short track cars. So we could possibly see a little bit things calm down throughout the season. Maybe, and hopefully we hopefully we have a good rest of the season and crown a champion. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see the rest of that and continue to move forward as we go on. Of course, our thanks go out to you, the viewer, for watching each and every lap. If you tuned in for the Legends race, if you tuned in for this one, or if you tuned into both, we certainly appreciate all the support, and we certainly appreciate everything that's going on for this league. And of course, credit to all the league owners for putting this on tonight. And Joseph, obviously you for joining me here in the booth. And on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Baier, Francisco Bacchiao, and of course Joseph Costello in the booth with me, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying good night and good evening finally from the Southern National Motorsports Park. We'll see you next time around. Until then.